Jack, thanks for coming on the Coffee Club podcast, mate. How were you after the fight? Obviously, I went with Sam to watch the fight.
Yeah.
Hands were a bit beat up and stuff afterwards. How's that now? Are you doing a bit of time to chill?
Yeah, all good. My hands, I haven't punched anything yet, but they've healed nicely. Still a little bit of bruising.
What's it? Is it after every fight? Do you get that?
As a pro now, like the difference between amateur and pro gloves, like you can barely make a fist in the amateur gloves, and now with these pro gloves, it's almost like bare knuckle. Honestly, it's that. After every fight, you either got a bit of swelling or a bit of bruising. But this guy's head was just tough, tough man, and it just swelled up a little bit more this time.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you later on what's the big differences between like amateur and pro.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing you don't really realise that. Probably for the average just public fan watching boxing, they don't even think about that.
Yeah, I think I've tried pro gloves on in the past, and I'd always knew that they were going to be, and everyone when I spoke to pros who were good amateurs,
older guys, they always say,
they always say
the older guys, isn't it?
They always say, listen, he goes, but yeah, but in pro, like with the smaller gloves, he says anyone can be knocked out. So I think you think, oh, they're just saying that, you know what I mean? But when you take a punch or you put the gloves on with them gloves, like it is literally anyone can be knocked out. Yeah, if you get caught in the right spot at the right time, like with them gloves, anyone could.
That's mad, mate. That's mad. And you were in Calais this weekend.
In Calais this weekend.
So what was that all about? Because
I
saw it on your Instagram.
Yeah. Me and my sponsor, Tony Brown, is a good friend of mine. I've been getting my hair cut from him since I was a young kid.
Mate, I was saying, so number one barbershop in Keyworth, my first ever sponsor.
Serious?
9 years old, 16 years now. Me, my dad, and my brother. He's my most loyal sponsor. Free haircuts.
See, that's the thing. Stay loyal to your barber, and
exactly,
good things happen, don't they? So yeah, Tony has he started sponsoring me pretty much since I turned pro. He's a good friend of mine, and he's just a real nice guy. He's opened up this business, Jack's Barbershops. Been open about a year. He's got 4 shops already. He's doing really well, and he just wanted to give back. You know what I mean? And he spoke to me about going over to Calais, taking loads of, donations, whether it be clothes, money, sleeping bags, just anything that can help. And he spoke to me about it and said, "Oh, do you fancy it?" And I was like, "Oh, 100%." Anyway, we got everything, rented a van, drove over there. I think it was about 4.5 hours. Got the Euro tunnel through to Calais. Stayed the night, and met some of the refugees, met some of the Care for Calais team, and
what's it like?
Just did our bit.
What's it like? Because you only see it on the news, don't you? Well, I think most people kind of just, it's one of them things you just shut off and put it.
Yeah, a lot of people put it.
Don't
to
need
the
to
side.
deal with it, so I'll put it to the
Yeah.
side. It's one of them, isn't it?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't know too much about it until this weekend, and you hear a lot of the stories you hear are bad stories and negative towards refugees and stuff, but until you get to speak to them and see them and realise what they're running away from in these countries, with ISIS and stuff like that going on, and they're running away. They don't want to be, a lot of these countries, they're getting forced to do stuff and forced to, bomb and all that sort of stuff, and they don't want to be a part of it, and that's why they're running away. But people automatically judge them as part of what's going on, but they're running away from that and they want to live a better life. Like one guy was showing me photos on his phone when I told him I was from Leeds. He was like, "Oh, Bradford." I was like, "Oh yeah." Pulled his phone out. It was just photos of him sat in a shisha bar with his friends and stuff, so he clearly managed to get over, and then he's obviously been deported back.
Right,
but they just get treated really badly and stuff, and they are very happy people, and it was a great experience for me, and I think before Christmas, like, makes you realise how lucky we are back home, and I'll never complain again about little things.
Granted,
exactly.
You do take things for granted.
Exactly, mate.
So like I was trying to think back to when we first met. I think it's 2013, wasn't it, when the Sky Scholars program started?
Yep.
And there's loads of us that have like stayed close, but like pretty much.
I think at least about half of us in it that have really stayed in touch. And
I think now I appreciate more just how good that was. Rather than when I first got on the program, we all did. I think we were all guilty of this. We kind of not took it for granted, but we were all really young as well.
Yeah.
But like now I'm like, oh my god, that was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And the fact that us lot stay quite close, and like we were talking about meeting up before Christmas and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when we first met. And I can remember at the time thinking, oh, this is so cool. Like
Yeah.
just people from different sports like coming together. We had the mentors and stuff.
It almost
like,
didn't really sink in, did it? Like, you
no,
couldn't
it was
believe
weird,
it.
Yeah, and like we were actually like a big part of Sky.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Made a big deal. You know, you go
Yeah.
to the Sky HQ and be up on the
On the walls
and stuff, on big posters.
Yeah.
And that. Yeah. How was that whole thing for you? Like, was it a bit of a learning curve?
Exactly the same as you. Like, it didn't really sink in until afterwards. Like, I look back now and I'm like, we were so lucky. And every time I do always thank Sky. You know, when it comes down to, they were a massive part of my development and in my career. Whether it, not even just in sport, just as a person.
Yeah.
I feel like I deal with things so much more, whether it be with other people or media, anything like that. They taught us so much, and it's really special what they did. And we met some good people. I met yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
It was probably, did it help you like with Jason? Because Jason was in the first year, and then he obviously went pro.
Yeah.
So you probably, I'm guessing you had chatted to him at
Yeah,
that
big
time.
time.
You probably referred back to that when you were making that decision and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke with Jason. Told me all about the reason why he decided to go pro and stuff. And I've actually even I was in talks with his management team
Really?
and stuff. Yeah, over in America. And we're still in talks now. Like, just, you know, back and forth, just keeping up in touch. Things that for me, at the time in my career now, it's not yet time for me to move on that route, but when the time comes, like, that's always an option, and that's like thanks to Jason, you know what I mean? So,
because there's a lot of boxing guys in that Sky setup, isn't there? Because you had like Johnny and
Johnny, like, he's
guys.
as you know, he's massive in terms of boxing in the UK, and he was my mentor. I got to meet him a few times and tell him, and he came down and watched me spar a few times. But it's a huge experience, and I think looking back on our careers, we'll always remember that as probably one of the biggest parts of it.
Yeah.
Even above like some of the competitions I've had and
just
stuff.
life
like.
skills. It's
The life
taught me a lot of
skills,
life
yeah.
skills. I had to like almost step up and take responsibility of my own career like quite quickly, you know.
Even like and when we'd compete and stuff, we'd also, rather than just, you know, all about competition, training, competition, in between, we'd stay connected and stuff, and we'd like write blogs, stuff, just little things like blogs and, you know, filming stuff.
I still follow like everyone now.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that's come out of it for me. Like, I still follow everyone's career, and I feel kind of connected because you kind of know them, do you know what I mean? You spend time with them, and you're like emotionally invested in what they're doing, do you know what I mean?
And I think everyone's still doing the thing, you know what I mean?
It's still going, I think, and everyone's doing really well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was amazing, that was.
Yeah, it was.
Well, how did you get into boxing? Because I got into gymnastics because I was like super hyperactive, and gymnastics is a weird one to like get into. It was completely like left field. There was a school teacher that suggested that I went along that. Was for you, I know your family's into boxing, so was it just a natural thing that you went into?
Yeah, like you say, I think for most kids it's football or rugby. Like I know you said about the gymnastics, and was it because your teacher saw your talent, or?
No, I think for me it was just I was proper hyper, and I'd like
She was
just a bit of a little.
She's ready to send you.
I was just a bit of a little shit, and she just suggested to my mum, you take him to like the local gymnastics club. But I was already playing football because my family was football.
Yeah.
So probably similar to you, and like with boxing, like my dad was at Forest and my granddad was at County, so everyone just expected me to be a football player, and I did play football at like a really high level.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gymnastics one was just properly left field, especially then in them days because it was.
Yeah,
like,
you hear more of it now, don't you?
But like now it's like people know everyone's into bodyweight training. People want to be able to do press ups and chin ups and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
muscle ups. But back then, just wasn't a thing, mate. Yeah.
I think for me, like you say, everyone's football or rugby. People like boxing, but I think simply because the fact it's like a combat sport and you're just hitting each other, like people watch it.
I feel like it's harder to get into if you're not already involved with it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, it's hard for me not to think of myself in doing anything other than boxing, but I don't know how I'd have got involved with it otherwise. But for me, like, boxing has always been a big part of my family. My dad has always been a coach. My uncle's always been a coach. My brother was a boxer when I was young, but growing up...
Is he not your older brother?
Yeah, my older brother is now... He's 3 years older than me.
Right, yeah.
and he started boxing before me, but I'll get to that. So I was like, so at about 9 years old, I up until about 9, I was going to watch my brother box, and he started boxing about 10, 11, something like that. So I was going and watching him compete and stuff, and I was never that bothered. My dad had always used to say, "Oh, do you want to come down?" and stuff, and I was like, I play football with my pals and stuff like that, and I was bothered about going out and seeing my mates and what was going on outside of school and stuff. And one day I just decided to go down with him, and then I'd come in and out of the gym, and I'd enjoy it, but I could never see myself doing it. Even when I speak to my dad now, he said he used to say to people, "Oh no, I'll never do it," you know what I mean? Anyway, my brother had about 12, 13 fights, and he was good, and he just started to stop, and I could see my dad was proper gutted and stuff like that. My dad used to corner my brother, and then once he stopped, I thought, you know what, I might give it a go. And my dad asked me to go down to the gym again. I said, I'll come down. And before I knew it, I was having my first fight at 11, and it sort of just went from there, and it's all just flashed like
a snowball.
Just
went.
A year later, I was 12 years old. I was having my first fight for England, representing my country. I think I had about 12 unbeaten then. I got beat in my first fight against Ireland, first fight for England, and then I lost by a point, and I remember crying on the way home and stuff. And I never really trained much back then, we were saying earlier about the dieting. I never dieted as a kid and stuff, and I remember crying for days. About a week went by, and my dad was like, "Listen, that's the name of the game, you know." And I never wanted to feel that feeling again, and it just motivated me. I felt like any time I've had a loss or a setback, it has just motivated me. And
I was going to ask you what was probably a big moment, early days. Would you say that?
100%.
I was a similar age. I was 12 and I went to compete in Austria.
Yeah.
And I did really well. It was my first competition for Great Britain, yours for England. And I did well and won the competition. It was that moment I stood on the podium, listened to the national anthem, and I was like, right, I want to do this. I don't want to play football. I don't want to play football. This is it. This is what I want to do. So it was that moment for me that was really a
telling moment in your life.
I was like, okay.
You want to get serious,
this is what I want to do.
It was definitely that for me, and I think it was just that feeling of I just never wanted to feel like that again, and it made me realise that's what I wanted to do, and then that's when I really did have to become committed, and all sort of goes from there. Don't say it's snowball effect.
When you made that decision and you decided to go sit, what was your training looking like in them early years? What kind of hours were you doing?
Probably.
Was your dad training you then as well?
Yeah, so my dad would train me, and my uncle would train me now and then. So he had his own gym at the time, and my dad was involved with another gym, so they weren't always together as a team.
Right, okay, yeah.
And so I'd mainly train 3 times a week with my dad down at Bermatos Boxing Club, and then every now and then, on a weekend, maybe I'd go do a bit with my uncle down at his gym. But it maybe 4 or 5 times a week, and I wouldn't do much running. I didn't realise how important running was, and plus you're only doing 3 1.5 or 2 minute rounds until you get to 14, 15. Yeah. So I was training hard, but my diet wasn't good. It wasn't.
You just training you were just enjoying training.
Just enjoying training. I think as a kid that is important though, because it can push you away.
Oh, 100%. Mate.
If life becomes a chore straight away and you feel like it becomes a job, then it's not fun. So when I speak to kids now, and I see them being too serious, I'm like, just chill out a bit. I remember when I was too light. I was a small lad. My first fight was at 28 kilos when I was 11, and a lot of the time to make the championship limit, I think the lowest category was 32 kilos, so I was always eating up. So even my dad, I don't think he had much clue about that, because he'd have me on cheeseburgers and stuff 2 days before the fight just so I could make the weight. And I just tell kids to chill out a little bit, or if I see dads pushing the kids too hard, I always say just lay off them a bit, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's a kid, and you're going to push him away.
Yeah, I get parents come up to me, mate, and oh, can you have a look at my little lad? He's doing well, but he needs to work harder.
Yeah.
this kid's 8.
8 years old.
This kid's 8. He's in the gym like 5-6 times a week.
That's the one though. I bet you get messages saying, "Oh, where can I get my kid involved?" And I go, "Oh yeah, well," and I tell them, and they go, "How old is your kid?" And they're like, "Oh, 4 or 5," and I'm like,
yeah.
Geez, like, come on.
You don't know, mate. And like for me, you don't even know until they're in gymnastics.
Yeah.
You don't know until they're 18. For me.
Yeah.
Until they're properly grown and they've got past all that.
Yeah.
Those cut-off ages. There's a big one like in gym. I don't know if it's the same in boxing. When you go to secondary school, there's that cut-off age where those people drop out. And then 16, girls, prom, partying again. Then 18, going out. Yeah. People want to do other things, Not everyone's so focused.
There is that cut-off age, and I think the one in boxing is that 17, 18. Yeah. I think I even had to question myself sometimes, like, you're going to miss all this. But I think, what helped me? Yeah. I was always, I'm still babyface now, like I'm 24.
Mate, I'm the same.
24 going on 25.
Mate, I still get ID'd every weekend.
Oh, at least you've got the beard. Jesus. And then I think, like, when I was 17, 18, I probably looked about, 14. So I wasn't that bothered about going out, because I was always self-conscious about, like, getting ID'd or people thinking I was too young.
Yeah.
So it never bothered me that much, and I'm glad now, because
I bet,
I can imagine the temptation would have been, really bad to go out, and there was still a little bit of temptation, but I was never that.
Do you know the thing we didn't have to contend with as well? Social media, mate. One thing.
Yes.
One thing. Like now, I'm constantly more and more having conversations about kids that are just obsessed with social media. Yeah. They're not working hard. And they're just putting like pretty pictures on Instagram. And they talk about working hard, but like in reality, they're not putting the work in. They're just waiting for that easy ride. And like, I just want to say to them, that ride ain't gonna come. Like it doesn't work like that. Like you said, you got to enjoy it. You got to find something you love. But if you do, you're gonna have to work hard.
Work hard, there. Like
you haven't got where you've got to without putting in the
likewise with you, bro. Like honestly, I think for us to get noticed, like with the scholarship and stuff, they've seen that we've worked hard. You know what I mean? But we know that. To keep that, we've got to keep grinding, you know what I mean? And like you say, a lot of kids, I think they just like to put a picture up saying they're doing something when they're actually not.
I do worry about this younger generation coming up, just that they think, I think because the profile of our sports like raised a lot since 2012, they almost think, if we get onto that senior team, we've made it. That's it. But it's not. There's like one or two guys in a whole generation that are going to get to that highest level and make enough money to, kind of they're not going to be set for life. They couldn't live off that money, but they'll be stable going into the next phase of their life. And it's just like, I just want to almost get that message across.
Yeah, big
like,
time.
Don't just take it for granted. Like, you've got to fight.
It never gets easy. It gets harder, but you get better, so you can deal with it better. Like, whereas if you got thrown in the deep end straight away, it'd be undealable. But whereas you get better, it only gets harder, and then hopefully one day when you are retired and whatnot, you can chill out. But it's a long way off, isn't it? So
it is, mate. Well, when did you first join the GB setup? Because you went to live in Sheffield, right?
Yeah. So I started university at 17, and I got on GB before I started university, and I was like balancing my studies with GB, but I was on the development squad, so I'd go down to live in Sheffield from a Thursday to Sunday every other weekend.
Okay.
So I'd have a week off from GB and then go down there, just so they could sort of keep an eye on you and sort of bring you through. So there's like pools, and they're just like a big a cycle. Yeah. So as soon as one's gone, another's come. So when that podium team leaves, or they think someone's ready for podium, they'll move them up. Right, and then I think I was only on there for about in between half a year and a year, and they decided to move. I got a letter saying I was getting moved up to podium squad, which is Monday to Thursday every week, and then come home for the weekend. And I just started university. I think I was there like 2 weeks. And I remember thinking, I'm proper struggling. Like, I was struggling anyway in terms of just balancing studies. And then I got to university, and I was like, I'm never... Like, first year is supposed to be easy, isn't it? Yeah. And I remember thinking,
what were you studying?
I was sports coaching.
Right, okay.
So it was like... it went hand in hand with, my boxing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it was the coursework and stuff that I was just really...
I was never good at school, man.
No, I'm just thinking about something else all the time. Like, even when I try and read nowadays, and I find myself like going through lines, and then like, what have I even just gone through there? You know what I mean?
For me at school, it was just about break time, lunch time, and then break time in the afternoon, just playing footy. Just get my AstroTurfs out my bag as early as possible.
Always thinking about lunchtime.
Skipping lunch. That's just all my school was about.
Yeah.
And then were you still training with your dad in between that? So like when you were on that development squad and you were back for that week, were you training with your dad?
Training with my dad and stuff. Yeah.
What was that dynamic like? Because presumably you were living at home at that point. What was it like? Were you doing a lot of hours then as well? Because you've gone from being like 12, 13, 14 to like now you're 17. I'm guessing the training ramped up.
Big time. And plus, like, I was fighting at like 49 kilos, and I think at 17 and stuff, like, it was hard to make. But my diet was always on point. I was a bit like, I was quite. I was obsessed. I was scared to go out on weekends with my friends, like at that age.
Yeah.
In case I caught a cold and stuff, like, I was just obsessed with, I took it extreme.
It's
almost too extreme.
Yeah,
like,
it's easy to do that, mate. It's very easy to do that.
And that probably affected my, like, I never peaked. I was always there.
Right.
And I always look back now and I think if I could change anything, like, I would go up and down, whereas I just took it way too seriously. But you learn.
Did you feel like you were almost like no one could tell you any other? Like, because I've been in that place like a lot of times, and I always get, you're too intense, you need to chill out.
Yeah.
And in the past, like, I'll hold my hands up now and say, looking back, I was doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But I was so convinced it was the right way.
The right thing.
It didn't matter who was telling me what. You're wrong. I know what I'm doing. Like, 100%. It was just blinkers on. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I was exactly the same, and like, I'd maybe feel like I had a bit of a sniffle or get a bit ill, and when your body's telling you to rest, I was going, I need to train, and it made me worse. And I'd go into fights. So many times I've been into fights with chest infections and stuff like that, just because I've overdone it. At this sort of age, and if I could go back, that is the one thing I would change.
And what was that dynamic like with, say you went, I always wonder this, because there's loads of athletes in like gymnastics as well, but their dad's their coach and all their family's involved. What was that like if you had like a bad session? What was that? Was it ever, because most athletes say no, it's the gym's a gym and then at home it's just family. What was that like for you growing up? Like, was it tough? Because it's a bit different when you're like maybe on the pads with your dad smacking him. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit different to just being in the gym or playing football or something like that.
It is. I think. Well, I'd always have that ride home in the car with me, so I'd have a bad session, I'd have a bad spar or whatever, and I'd know I had a bad spar, and I'd be killing myself in my brain, like going over it. But then I've got my dad too saying, like, you've done this, you've done that. And he'd try not to get emotionally too involved, but he would, He'd give me that little bit of grief as a coach, but then I'd get it sometimes also at home. Yeah. And there'd be times where I would, like, I'd go upstairs and shut my door, you know what I mean? And it would be hard, but I always had to remind myself that it was at my best interest he was doing that. And even when I'd sometimes turn to my mum and say, he's saying this or whatever, she'd be like...
Looking for back.
Yeah. She'd be like, taking notice of him, you know what I mean? So it's funny looking back, and sometimes it might still happen now. Yeah. But I'm so much better now at just switching off to it and saying, Dad, chill out. Yeah. You know what I mean? But the one thing that I do that's bad with my dad, right, or even my uncle, because at the end of the day, he's still my uncle. I feel like my uncle is my main coach, so he's my corner man. Right. That's because with my dad, it's too easy for me to turn around and be like, Dad, shut up. You know what I mean? Whereas my uncle, there's a little bit more of a friend respect there, Like, I ain't growing up, seeing him every day. And it's just easier for me to sort of put a bit more respect on him. Whereas when I've been dieting and say it's the last week before the fight, and I can be dead bitey. Yeah. And it's hard in training sometimes, like where you just, little
just on edge, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on edge.
It's coming. Yeah. Like I get a lot of that. Everyone's like looks at me in the way I speak with my coach sometimes, and they're like, wow, like those two like go at each other, but they don't understand that like he's pretty much he's my second dad.
And he'll understand.
He's coached me since 2001. He started coaching me.
Yeah.
And I've spent 6 or 7 hours with him, 6 days a week. For
you see him more than
for like 18 years.
Yeah,
I'd spend way more time. I'd see my dad for a couple of hours, maybe a day when I was growing up. I'd see Sergey for like 7 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
Every time we were going to like national training camps, he'd drive me every single time. So like that's why now we're like best friends.
Yeah.
He's like my best friend.
So he'll know.
We've got that means we've got a different relationship. And what's hard is now, because I'm in a gym, the age gap now is like 8 years, and it's hard for me because we've got that different relationship. For the younger guys, I don't want them to think that they can speak.
Yeah,
sometimes they speak, they might just forget and maybe speak to Sergey in a certain way, and maybe how I would. Yeah. And I'm like, you fucking don't speak to him like that. Do you know what I mean? When I'm actually, like, we're talking to each other, sometimes we don't even talk to each other, it's just like head signals and stuff. But you're just exactly right. It's like that different. It's that different. You can do it. It's okay because you've got that bond. It's a bit different. Whereas if another coach came in that wasn't like Sergey, like I wouldn't speak to him the way I speak to Sergey. No. You know what I mean, we just got that relationship.
Yeah, and it's important that you've got that. Like, and he'll understand, won't he? Like completely. When you buy it, he'll know why and whatnot.
He can walk in and we're gonna like we haven't said a word to each other and we line up. Like I've done this since I was like 7 years old. We line up, go through the session, I shake his hand. And like you don't need to say a word. I can tell exactly what mood he's in. Yeah. Yeah. And he can tell what mood I'm in, and he knows like now if I'm like in a bad mood, he'll just give me space, just leave me.
Yeah. It's so important that though, isn't it? Like
just
even
understanding that you're athlete.
Yeah. Like my Uncle Martin now, like I'll come in and he'll know when I'm tired and when to. Sometimes we'll do sessions for like 2-3 hours. You know, going through routines on the pads, and he'll know when I'm not in that mood, or if my timing's off a little bit, and he'll think, right, I just need to ease up, and I know he knows. Yeah. And just from little things he says, I'm like, oh, just ease off, you know what I mean? But it is important because if you don't understand them, then it's just a recipe,
especially in your game, because you go out there. It's the same in gymnastics, but that's what I wanted to ask you actually. Like when I go out to compete, like it's me up there by myself, and I'm against the apparatus. And it's like it's a stressful environment to be in. Yeah. You're inside
all pressures on
last
you
week
there.
You're inside your own head. Yeah. You just want to think, oh, I don't want to fall. Yeah. Do you know I don't want to make a mistake.
Our sports are very similar in terms of like there's so many team sports and stuff. Ours, you prepare with your coaches, but you're up there, you're on your own. Like I get in there to fight another man on my own.
It's a lonely pursuit.
It's lonely
because you spend the time inside your own head.
Yeah.
But the difference for me is the high bar ain't going to punch me back. What is that? What's that like? Like preparing in your head and knowing that there's someone doing exactly the same thing, and they're going to come and try and punch your face, box your face up. Yeah. What's that like? Is it the fear of almost you don't want to lose? Do you think about that person much or not? Is it more just about your game, or because you must think about that person?
I do, yeah. But like, building up to a fight, I'm never scared of anyone.
Yeah.
I'm scared of losing. Yeah. I just never want to lose. But as long as I know I've done my best, that is the main thing. Like I'll always say before a fight, like, just I want to be 100%. I want to have the strength to perform the best I can. I know it's on me.
Yeah.
But as long as I've got the strength to do that, you know what I mean. And then say the better man comes out and he's won and beat me, then fair dues. Like there's nothing I can do. But I think knowing that someone else is training hard is just motivation, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think too deep about it. It's weird. Like I just see them as an object in front of me to get past. Like one thing my brother told me, like when I remember being at an Anthony Joshua fight about 2 years ago, and there was, you know, the crowd was full. There was flames going up as he was walking out and stuff. And my brother Tom was like, you know, this is just like a mirage. Like you do this every day. You put your gloves on. You get in there. You spar every day, building up to a fight. Like it's exactly the same, apart from all these people and all the explosions, the fire. You know, everyone cheering your name and stuff.
Yeah.
You're just getting in there and having a spar with a little bit smaller gloves on. You know, your vests off and whatnot, but it's exactly the same. And sometimes, like if I do feel a bit panicky or I think about it too much. It's all a mirage, and sometimes I remember on my pro debut, like, stood there, my tune was playing, and I was getting a bit excited. Now I'm just thinking it's a mirage. You know what I mean? It has helped me.
That's cool that stuck with you.
It has,
and it is true, and that's the game. That's the game. I
think.
The
mental game, isn't it?
It's being able to just strip it back, and it's just like you're just going to fight or spar or whatever.
It's just another day in the office,
just doing a routine that I did last week.
Forget about the crowd.
But that's what makes the difference between the guys that make it to the very top.
Yeah.
I think. Just being able to split that up and kind of like separate that. That's hard. It's hard when there's so much riding on it, especially in like now you've turned pro. Having that perfect record is big, right?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people see it as. I think that's why some people are always so scared to make that jump. You know, that step up in class, because people like who don't really understand boxing that much, or just see, like I think that's the Mayweather effect. I hear people talk about the Mayweather effect all the time. He has made the boxing game where you've got to be undefeated, you know, to be this big dog, you know, earning good money and to be the best.
That's how you sell it. It's sellable.
Yeah, it's sellable, isn't it? It is sellable, but I feel like I've heard so many boxers that have been there and done it say your real people around you is not the people who are in the change rooms when you've won a fight, but when you've lost a fight.
Yeah.
And you never know until you've lost a fight. I mean, as a pro, I haven't lost a fight yet, but in the amateurs it was different because I never had anyone. I was abroad in tournaments. We only had our teammates to support each other, so it was very different. And people a lot of the time didn't know when I was fighting, whereas now, like, it's changed so much. But I've got such a loyal fan base and, you know, team around me. I just hope it's the same, you know, all the way through.
Does that play on your mind? That must be quite a heavy thing to...
I got asked this last night from my granddad. He said, do you feel like you've got to win for your supporters and stuff? I don't think about it too much, but it does drive me to win, you know, thinking like, you know, people have come to watch you, like, put on a good performance.
Do you feel like you carry that? Do you feel like you're carrying that 8-0
at the minute
on your... like it's on your back? Do you feel like you've always got it with you, like in the back of your head, or not? Or are you really good at just completely switching off and just being like...
Yeah, not necessarily the 8-0 thing, just the fact that I would be devastated to lose a fight, you know, because I think, like you say, it is perceived so much in the pro game, like, to have that with no losses is massive. But I heard someone say the other day, like, boxing's like snakes and ladders, so you work your way up and then you may get beat and you get back down, and it says you've got to work your way back up then, you know what I mean? So it's not the end of the world, like, and I feel like that's why a lot of fights aren't made, because people are scared to you know, lose. But I think it's all about mindset, you know. If you let that going away, you know, defeat you, then that's what will happen.
Did you have many losses as an amateur?
I fought about 120 odd times in the amateurs, and I think I lost about 15 between 12 and 15 fights. So not that many, and like,
not really,
when I did,
look at that.
I think when you look at over 3 rounds as well, it's so hard to score. A lot could have been bad, really bad decisions.
Especially when you fight them.
And it pisses you off so much. Like, can't even explain. Especially when the selection process is coming up for the Olympics and whatnot, and you might go back and there might have only been 2 coaches there out of the team of, you know, 8 coaches. So the others think, he got beat, or people just think, he's been beat. But until you're there at these amateurs, so corrupt, and it will always be. And I've even heard talks about, you know, getting put out of the Olympics. Amateur boxing will always be corrupt. And I'm glad I turned over when I did.
I was going to say, because I want to lead into all of that process in that 2016 there, just to go through that.
Yeah, of course.
We obviously had similar
journeys.
What was that year leading up to it? So the start of that year, what did that look like for you in terms of qualifying? What did you have to do? Was it straightforward? Like, how did they come to the decision in the end?
Yeah, well,
I knew it was this competition.
Yeah.
So I had that in my head.
No, it was literally, I had a few set competitions where I had to go and perform, and there was another guy who had to go and prove himself in his competitions. But
did you get sent to the same competitions?
No, they were totally different. Yeah, so it's like he could go somewhere and fight a couple of nobodies, and I could go somewhere and fight a really good fighter and get beat straight away. You could go win a gold medal or whatever. But I don't think that was like the main reason. Like I had an injury at the point where I was probably number one in GB, and coming forward for
what injury was that?
I had a septum hematoma.
Right.
I picked it up in sparring. I had to have an operation, so this put me out for a couple of months. And whilst I was out, there was a European championships. I think it was called the EU championships, and they had to get a lad from the development squad at the time to come through and compete. Obviously, me being out, and he went there and he did okay. I think he won a fight and then lost, but he lost on a cut. So when my injury was sorted and recovered, I was back in training, and I thought, all right, I'll get my turn now. Another European tournament came. And I said, listen, we're going to pick him again because he's he didn't get he got an unfair shot because he got this cut. He was put out. So I said, all right, yeah. Didn't upset me too much because I thought, you know what, fair dude, let him do it.
And when was it? What year was that?
And that was the year before, so 2015. Yeah,
right.
The end. So he went there, and I think the same thing sort of happened, something like that. Something similar happened. And then towards the end of the year, they always do a GB championship. So I thought that big time now, like, we're probably going to meet each other. And then it's done then, isn't it? Yeah, whoever wins goes. If he beats me, boom, he goes and to the qualifiers. So we get told about a month and a half before that this is coming up, we're fighting each other. So boom, we're selling tickets. It's in Sheffield. He was from Bradford way.
Right, okay.
So we're both local, you know what I mean? So we're selling tickets and stuff, we're preparing. He's sparring similar people that I'm sparring because we are local and stuff, and
are you two both training out at the National Centre at this point?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So it's honestly, it was so, it's a lot of that was the thing, like, it's awkward because you're not just, you become almost like enemies. You don't want to be friends because you're fighting, but you don't want to be, you don't want to cause a scene. But anyway, I think it got to about a week before, and he pulled out of the fight, and I was like, oh, why's he pulled out? Anyway, he was saying the cut that he'd got previously had opened up. I'd seen him, every day at this, and I knew it was lies,
bullshit.
whether it being from him or
just the people around him.
But there's people that I was sparring, that he was sparring at the time, said he kept asking questions like, how's Jack doing, what I mean?
Okay,
so he just didn't look comfortable apparently, and saying just kept mentioning his cut, and they were saying, I don't think he's going to fight you, what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought it can only work in my favour. He's pulled out.
Yeah.
If it's got to come down to it, they're going to pick me. So anyway, at the time, I sold loads of tickets, and they said, oh, we're going to get you someone over just so you can fight. So they got me the Romanian champion over. They flew him in. I fought him, beat him, and then had Christmas, came back in. The qualifiers were coming up, and it was mad. Like, you all finish your week of training, and Thursday we usually go home. We all wait around and we sit on the ring, and the boss, Ron McCracken, he brings you all in individually, so everyone's on this boxing ring shitting themselves, just trying to talk, make conversation, seeing people go in, seeing the face when they've come out, how they look, you know what I mean? And I remember he went in first, and he came out and didn't really show much emotion and stuff. And I went in, I got told I wasn't going, and I just sort of laughed, I almost expected it. I felt like I could see it coming, you know what I mean? He was going to the qualifier, and he said, listen, he'll go to this qualifier, but if he doesn't qualify, you'll go to the next one. But I was like, what if he does? And he was like, well, he goes to the games. And I was just like, And from that moment, I fell out of love with the sport. Honestly, like I was just like, I felt like all the hard work had just gone to waste. You know what I mean? And anyway, he went and qualified at this first tournament. From that moment on, I sort of had about a month.
When was that in the year?
It was early 2016.
So,
no,
you had a lot of time.
Yeah, so it was like Feb or March or something. And I said to Rob, I'm gonna have a bit of time out, you know, whether it be 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I remember going away for a bit, just living normal life, like spending time with my friends, going out partying, and really enjoying myself, eating what I wanted. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, I did start getting the buzz back, and I got back into the GB setup and started just ticking over. But in my training, like I was training, but there was no thought behind it. Like I was hitting the bag, and like I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't there. And I went to a few tournaments. I boxed in the Tama tournament in Finland, and I won gold. I moved up in weight actually, because all this time off, like I put a hell load of weight on.
Shitloads.
Yeah, I was eating shitloads, and finally allowed my body to probably grow and relax. Ended up moving up to 56 kilos. Went to my first tournament in Finland and won gold there, and I was like, bloody hell, why don't I move up? Bloody ages ago, I've been killing myself all this time, and this was probably a better weight for me. So I was still boxing, doing alright, even though I wasn't all there. And I went to once the Olympics had gone by and stuff, obviously I watched what went on.
I was going to say, could you watch it?
I didn't watch it. To this day I haven't watched his fight. He had one fight in the Olympics, got beat against a bang average kid, you know what I mean?
It's hard, innit, man? Yeah. I could watch that games. I watched it. It was funny when I completely just smashed my ankle to pieces. That first World Championships, I couldn't watch that. Yeah. Because I was like, because that was going to be my one. My whole career I've been preparing for that. This was my peak.
Yeah.
That was it, and I couldn't watch it. But Rio, I could watch it.
So the World Championships was that
was
qualifying?
No, that was back in 2014. So when the Commonwealth Games, when I mashed my ankle, that's the only time I haven't been able to properly. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to do it. I was like, all my rehab was based at the National Centre, and all the GB guys were training for the Worlds there. And I didn't even want to be in the gym with them. So I'd do any gymnastics I could do at that point. I'd do it when they were on their break. I didn't want it. I wasn't ready for that. But then by the time the Worlds came around, 2015 there was a home Worlds. I missed that, injured again. I went and watched that. Actually, they flew us out there to watch the other guys, and that was fine. I watched it. But then Olympics, I watched it. Even though it was like the hardest point in my life. Like my selection again was just. It was tough, man, because I knew what I had to do on paper, and on paper I did it. I did it. It was black and white. The scores were there. They were there, and whatever happened, and since then, like loads of shit's gone on and stuff. Yeah. And I found it really hard to deal with that, but I watched it. But the same as you, I was going into the gym. It was funny, because outside of the gym, everyone around me, obviously my parents, my coach, they were all like. Because it was a massive part of their life, and they didn't know how to be with me. Yeah, but I wasn't there. I was just numb.
No, I can relate to this. Yeah,
and I almost, they were expecting me to be like angry or super upset, but I just wasn't there. It was like it had been taken out of me. Do you know what I mean? Because it just wasn't for me. It wasn't fair.
Did you expect that this could happen?
It was in the back of my mind. I feel like It was in the back of my mind, but I was. So I can remember one of the happiest times of my life, right, was after that second qualification event. Yeah. And I had won the first one, I won it, and I was third in the second one. And I was driving back home from Kent, where the competition was, with my brother, and we were just both buzzing, because he's like the closest person to me, and he's almost been on this journey with me. Yeah. And like I'd go, in my head I was thinking, they could take Dan Purvis, who was my teammate from London, because he's been so consistent over 6 years. And I could understand if they were gonna go, but on both of those competitions I beat him. But like the lad that they picked was just was completely out there. I didn't even consider that.
Well, not even someone you put into your mind.
Like it was just hard to take, man. It was hard to take. And I can remember, same as you. You said you went into that meeting. I can remember like having my phone call. Yeah. And then I pulled into a petrol station because
I
just done my food shop at Tesco.
Yeah.
And I was the same. I was just laughing. I was like,
I was like, this actually happened.
Yeah, like explain to me why. And he couldn't give me a reason. And then I drove home. It was like a 25-minute drive, and I can't remember driving home.
Yeah.
Like, there was one point where I got to the bottom of my road where my road is, and I just wanted to put my foot down, just go into the wall, mate. I was I couldn't. It was mad. And I rang my dad, and it was such a strange period.
Yeah.
Like, but it's made me who I am today. I'm not sure I'd actually change it.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah,
and also from like, I appealed the decision, and Dan Purvey appealed the decision. And like, our appeals didn't go through, so they were unsuccessful, and the team went out and did an amazing result. And it's never ever personal between the rest of the team. And
no,
like,
but you've got to fight for your
100%. You have to. And like, I'd hope they do the same thing in their position. And every athlete has got the right to appeal a decision.
Yeah.
And since then, like, the rules and the qualification for gymnastics, like on the men's squad, has become way more black and white.
Yeah.
So like, us appealing has helped like this next generation out, because now they know we get the scores, we go. It's like, it's as simple as that. So it's helped. But yeah, it was a crazy time in my life, mate. Like, and to deal with that mentally, I think that took me the whole of 2017 to really process that. And there was other things that was going on personally in my life, and so I feel like 2017 I spent the whole time sorting myself out mentally.
Yeah, before you actually got back to
competing. And then I was ready. 2018 I was ready to go, but my body wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because I was relaxing and kind of giving myself a break, you know. And I was going out last summer and partying and just trying to be good.
Live a normal life that you've missed out.
And I knew I had made the commitment to Tokyo, and I know how hard that's been. I've done it twice now.
Yeah.
I know that's going to be a massive sacrifice, and so I wanted to just give myself a little bit of a break and take my foot off the gas. But I'm dealing with those consequences physically in 2018. And now I'm in a place where I'm fit, pain free, got no injuries for the first time in 2 years. But that's took 2 years, to get there.
No, but I feel like it's so important, because now you've had that little bit of time
and
to reflect and think.
I can't be hurt as well now.
Yeah.
Because I went to Olympic Games and got an Olympic medal, and then I missed out and was that there's 5 in the team, I was number 6. It's the worst thing that could possibly happen. So now it's like I've experienced both, so whatever happens, I'm prepared for it. So I've almost got nothing to lose, so it's quite a good position to be in.
Like when I think about my career, and I don't know how you see it, but I feel like, if an injury ever came along, or just something happened where I couldn't box again, like if it all ended tomorrow, I could be happy with how what I've got out of boxing. Like, boxing has been good to me. Like, I don't feel like if I stopped tomorrow, I'd hold like a grudge against boxing.
I never want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I see it. Do you see it in boxing? But I see that, like, old teammates, and you can see they've got that look in their eye. It's like resentment, or like, I never want to be that. I don't want to walk away from the sport and just regret it and look back and kind of just want to shut it out. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I think it's quite easy to become that person.
Yeah.
Because it's tough, man. We give up. You sacrifice your whole life for these things, and not every kid's gonna be the Olympic champion.
Not everyone gets that. And there's so many of us who have, just missed out, but it's how we deal with it, and what route we choose to go down to make that
I think the biggest thing that I took away from that whole time was that, like, gymnastics will always be a massive part of my life.
Yeah.
It always will. But, like, who I am, like, my values and what I stand for, it's more important.
Yeah.
And I've really, like, took that on board into the last 2 years. So, like, with my family as well, I used to carry the pressure of, like, because I wanted to do well for them, because they were so emotionally invested. I wanted to do well for my coach. I always used to carry that around with me, whereas now it's like, as long as they think, I'm a good guy, I don't really care what they think about my results. It doesn't matter to me. Like, I'm doing this for me, no one else. And that's something that's took me a long time. It took me until 25 to mature to that point.
Yeah.
I always felt like when I was a kid, I always had this thing in my head, like, it always took me a bit longer to get somewhere than everyone else. Like, I would get there in the end, and once I got there,
but you'd have to graft
harder. To work. It wasn't. It'd always take me that bit longer. Do you know what I mean? I feel like everyone says in gymnastics your prime is like 22, 23. I've just always had this thing in the back of my mind. Oh, maybe I'm gonna be an old. I might be. Yeah, in 2 years' time, I'm gonna be 27. So that's like the back end of my career for sure.
Yeah.
I've just always had that feeling. I don't know what it is. But since I was a kid.
Yeah, my dad always says the same to me. Like, he says, "Oh, you're a late developer. You'll do better the older you get." You know what I mean? And I feel like that's really similar. But I do feel like our careers, this as similar as they've been, they have taught us so much about ourselves, and even like when you went to the Olympics in 2012 and you got your medal, you feel like it came early, and then when it came to 2016, like I feel like that's similar in my story, like because I was always like, I think 2013 I won a European bronze, and I was like, this kid he's set on for 2016, and like it came early for me. Like I got this,
you weren't ready for it mentally.
Yeah, and it came so early, and I got on the scholarship, and everything was just like going. So, I remember some of the coaches at GB being like, listen, you're going to be a star and that, you know what I mean? And like,
it's always hard that, mate. When you get
it's like you've got to live up to something. Like it can only when you're up there, the road can only go like that. Like when it's expected to be there,
it's that pressure, man.
I had a lot of pressure, and I feel like that's taught us, if I can deal with that, I can deal with anything, you know. And
it's hard when people do that, mate. Like GB coach, like the same. I had a coach when I was 14. We were going out to Australia, and there was an interview for the paper, and this GB coach has said, this guy's going to be an Olympic champion. I was 14 at that time.
Yeah.
And I carried that around for years. Do you know what I mean? I was like, why me? I really struggled with it. And I didn't have anyone to talk to at the time. We didn't know much about, going to see a psychologist at that age. It was like almost frowned upon.
Yeah.
Because my sport's old school, so it's like you're weak if you go and see. That's what it was like at them times. Like, it's completely different now. But I was like, oh my God, why me? I'm no better than everyone else. Like,
it's easier to prove someone wrong than
punish
prove
myself
right,
almost for it. It's crazy thing to say to a kid, but
it's
stuff like that just sticks. It's crazy how that stuff sticks with you. Yeah. So that's why it's so important having people that are really like around you that are going to give you that good advice.
Yeah, it's so important to stay humble, isn't it? Like even
100%.
Now, like
and the hard thing is, mate, when you probably felt this way when you were 17, 18. You feel invincible when you're that age, and you think your career's going to last forever.
Yeah.
When I got into the senior team when I was 17. When I was 18. I was like, I'm going to do every European, every World Championships, the Olympic Games. Skip forward to 25 now, and I've missed out on so many major championships for injury. It's like you just never know, so you've got to really just appreciate the opportunity you've got. And like now, I think I'd really appreciate any chance I have of competing for GB and going to a major champs. I'd take it in so much.
100%. Like even like you said there, like when my first Europeans and Worlds came, I was like, oh yeah, I'll have another two of these before I get the chance to turn pro. But like they were my only Europeans and Worlds, like, so to, like you say, live for today and take that opportunity, because tomorrow is never promised, is it? You know what I mean?
Happen, mate.
Exactly.
You never know, man. Like, I was 19, had an Olympic medal, 20 had. By 21 I had 4 European medals that was on, and then boom, my whole life just changed when I like smashed my ankle to pieces, and it's been a fight to try and get back ever since. So you just gotta. It's tough, man. But like, I'd never change it. Like,
I wouldn't. If someone could tell me now, like, I wouldn't.
It's made me who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. As a person, and I think as an athlete, like, it's fuel for the fire. 100%.
And that decision when you made that decision to go pro, or the Rio's out the way.
Yeah.
Was that exciting for you? Were you like, okay, this is a new chapter? Did it take you a bit of time to kind of get into it?
Yeah, well, I had the main reason I stayed amateur, like, and didn't turn pro a year before, was because of the Sky scholarship. Like, Sky were obviously financially supporting us so well. Yeah. And as a network,
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
And stuff, like don't just run to 2016, does it? And I was contracted with GB. 2017,
right?
So it worked out perfect, really. And I remember having a bit of WSB experience, which was good, which was like the pro game, but in the amateurs it's 5 rounds, no head guard, no vest, so it's basically pro boxing now. And I remember Ron McCracken coming up to me and saying, Jack, I'll pull you to the side. He says, I thought he'd seen that I was, not putting everything into training and just ticking away. And I thought he was pulling me to the side to, have a word with me and be like, what's going on? And he pulled me to the side. He goes, what's happening? We've got a few tournaments coming up. He goes, we've got the ABA Championships. And I felt like, God, when he mentioned that, I was like, I feel like I'm starting again. ABA Championships, like I'd been there, won 2, got to a final the next year when I was in the Commonwealth box office with Charlie Edwards. And then he was sort of saying, all right, we've got the ABA Championships coming up. You can either go to them or you can go to this tournament in some other country or whatever. And I stopped him and said, Rob, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'd made my mind up, you know, before, because I knew the scholarship was coming to an end. I knew my contract. I said, I want to leave. Like I said, I appreciate everything you guys have done for me. I just said, I don't feel like signing on for another 4 years. And he goes, and he was perfect. He said, I completely understand. He goes, you've had an amazing career. He goes, what are you going to do? Are you going to go pro or what? I said, I'm going to have a bit of time off, and I probably will go pro. And he sort of said, like, he was really good. He said, listen, he goes, the pro game's not for everyone. He goes, and it is a hard game, but he goes, you know, live your life, see what you want to do. He goes, do you feel like you need to go pro to, you know, earn a living, or do you just want to do it? I said, of course I want to do it, you know what I mean? And he gave me some good advice. He said he'll always be there for me, whether it's sparring. So GB, I go, when I'm passing Sheffield, I go by and see everyone. So I don't hold that grudge, you know, as GB, so it's always good. I'm in a great relationship with everyone there. I decided to leave, enjoyed my life a little bit more, you know, just chilled out until I got that buzz back. My dad and my uncle will always mention, you know, when are you going to start getting back into it? Talk to me about the plans in the pro game. And I knew I would always go pro. It was just until I got that buzz back, and I started to get the buzz back towards the end of 2017. I think it was towards the end of summer. And then boom, I had 3 fights before the end of the year, and like best decision I ever could have made. So it's been great so far.
And was it? So am I correct in thinking that the lad that went to Rio?
Yes.
Tested.
Yeah, like I completely forgot to even mention that. Like that's what just.
That was earlier this year, was it?
Yeah, well, it was earlier. I think it was at the start of the year. Like I'd heard rumour going around saying, you know, Muhammad Ali's been tested, you know, positive for steroids, and I was like, fuck, it doesn't surprise. I sort of just laughed, like it doesn't surprise me at all. You know what I mean? But it was just rumour, and then when it came out proper and it was all in the papers and stuff like that, like it's been kept pretty quiet in terms of the boxing industry. Okay. And I'm not surprised on his behalf. Like I'd just stay quiet.
How did you feel? Did you react much to it? Like
I didn't.
Personally,
you know,
inside yourself, did you?
It didn't even bother me. Right. It was almost a laugh again, just like you know, could this get any worse? But when I'd spoke to people, they were like, "You must be fuming." They're like he's taken it away from you, and he's been tested positive, you know.
Yeah.
And he underperformed at the Olympics, but he didn't actually test positive at the Olympics.
Yeah.
But he knows he's going to get tested there, you know what I mean? And he's come off, and then an old one, I think, got brought up.
An old test?
Yeah.
Right.
It was either an old test or the fight after the Olympics.
Right, okay, yeah.
But anyway, so it was like salt in the wounds, but I wasn't that bothered. I was almost just happy that he'd been caught. Yeah. You know, he got a short ban. I think he's due back in the ring, like at the start of next year. No doubt he'll be back in the ring.
Did it almost feel like the end of a chapter for you? A similar thing kind of happened with me in a way, because the guy that was kind of in charge of like our governing body at the time, he got dismissed earlier this year, like start of the year. I can remember like seeing it. Someone sent me a message. I was like, what, really? Yeah. I read it, and it was like, do you know what it was? For me, it was like closing a book.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was like, oh yeah,
almost like
great, you good. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't that. It was just like, I could just personally, like, my head just completely move on from all that. It was all gone. It wasn't.
It was actually like that. Now you say that, it is like that. Like, it was almost just like.
It wasn't like I was like living my life and this thing was holding like.
Holding a grudge on you.
It was always in the back. It wasn't like that, but it was almost like just like taking a deep breath and like,
it took a lot.
Like a piece,
it did, it did sort of like lift a bit of weight off my shoulders, and like, I feel, it was like, it was just like laughable, and it was like, you know what happens in it, but.
And the thing is, mate, there's so many boxers that go on that haven't even competed at the Olympics and miss out on the Olympics and
exactly, and go on and do.
It's not everything. It's not.
I feel like it's just fuel for the fire, honestly.
Yeah, 100%.
It's been the same for you, and the same for you to reach your goals. It must. You could have gone there, and you know, achieved or not, and then settled with what you've got, you know, or maybe not had as much motivation because this has got to motivate you, know what I mean? And I feel the same for me, and
I definitely fell in love with it again.
Yeah, I think that's the most. I lost it for a long while, and there's it is important to love what you do in it. And
I think I lost it, and I lost the love for it. I was just kind of thinking, what's fucking like, bullshit. But then I decided to move back to a club so I could train with younger guys, because I like training with the youngsters. You know, like giving them like all my experience and stuff, trying to feed them as much as I can. Yeah. Because I didn't have that when I was younger, because the senior guys just weren't very good. Well, they just weren't at that level. And now I just feel like I got that love, but and then because I've had so many injuries, like when you get it taken away and you can't do it and you love it again, you're like, shit, like, I don't want to lose this. Like, I love it still so much, you know. I still got that fire. Yeah,
I feel like you should always keep going as long as you've got that fire, because you know you never want to look back, do you?
I was saying in the last podcast, so I did it with a guy called Richard. I had a text at the British. I really mashed my ankle up again. It was bad. I was stretching off. I was on gas and air, so I wasn't in a good place. But he messaged me the same thing, and he's like someone I really look up to. And he was like, "Look, if I could tell you one thing, because he recently retired, he was like, keep doing it as long as you can, because like nothing comes close to that buzz. So you just got to get that." That was like, okay, I need to keep doing this. Well, I still can. I've got it in me, and I feel like I've got that fire.
You never want to regret, do you?
No.
I never want to look back and say, what if, you know what I mean? So, I think we will keep going until the fire burns out.
But it was great to be there at your fight, mate. See you live. It's just
I appreciate you coming over, bro, honestly.
Game. Like, Sam's a big boxing fan. Like I got into boxing when it was on the Sky Scholars, when I went and they sorted me out to go and watch Carl Froch, George Groves.
Oh, which was the first one? Oh.
Yeah, the first one. Yeah. The second one, I had a massive party at my house. Loads of people came round, and after that, my mum and dad were like, no more house parties. No. Anymore, because it was just packed with like loads of people who kind of wrecked the house a bit. But that's when I started getting into boxing. I think it was probably through you and Jason, to be honest. Yeah. So I was just interested. Yeah. And then like now, I'm into it. Like, I properly love boxing, and then so to see you live, mate. It was brilliant, mate. It was brilliant.
Honestly, it was great to have you there, and obviously anytime you want to.
It's just a great night, mate. It was just a great night. What's your training look like now then over Christmas? What's your Christmas look like?
Christmas is pretty chilled. Like Christmas, I'm going to spend it with my girlfriend, the family, enjoy some good food, and then over New Year I'm going away for 10 days. So I'm going to relax, but at the minute, like, my mind is a bit like I'm a bit restless, because I'm trying to think, right, I need to get. So I'm almost like drifting off sometimes, like feeling stressed. And I know I'm stressed because I know I want to enjoy myself, but I want to. I'm like torn between.
I always like Christmas because I always think, in my head, I'm always traditionally I get my best results in the first half of the year, and I think that's because most people switch off a lot at Christmas. And I do switch off, but just not as much as everyone else. So I still I retain as much as I can, so I can hit the ground running hard. So normally when we have a GB training camp, normally the first week of January or second week, and I always look fucking great compared to everyone else because they had like a week off and they've just been on the beers or whatever. But is that like just that mental battle? Like you wanna?
I'm gonna enjoy myself.
I am. I do now. I just let myself do it. But
I'm gonna enjoy it, but like I say, I'm gonna stay on
I wonder what it's gonna be like when when I'm finished my career and I can literally do what I want. My teammates are like, mate, it's weird. You can just have a beer on Wednesday night. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that. Like not feeling
I'm thinking about taking my scales on holiday, like, but I know I'll get shit off my missus. I'll get shit off my missus, like. But I can't. I get weird every morning, every night, and it becomes just like brushing your teeth on the morning. It's become part of that. So the day that I don't have to do that,
it must be good, mate.
So strange. Like I can't imagine. Like even when I have a week or two, like even for you, I think, not having to think, oh, got gym then though. Like not having to put that in your calendar. Every week coming. Must be so strange. I think we'll always train no matter what.
I'll tell you a funny story. After 2012 when I got that medal, I went with my mates to Magaluf. Right?
Yeah.
So we're in Magaluf and we were there for a week. We're only there for a week, and you can imagine what it was like.
Yeah.
Like going to bed at 5, waking up at 2 in the afternoon. And on about the 5th day, I was like, right, I need to go and do a run or something. So we went to the beach, and there was like this big, almost like floating thing that you could jump off. And one of my mates was sat on there with these, like, a group of lads that were on their lads' holiday. And me and this other lad, Will, who was still training at the time, we're running down this beach, like, properly going for it.
Yeah.
And he sat there on this thing floating in the sea, and these lads are like, look at them twats running on the beach. What the fuck are they doing? They're in Magaluf. Like, why are they running? And he's gone, Yeah, they're my mates there.
No way.
Yeah,
It's
brilliant, mate.
quality.
Oh, it's funny. I look back now, it's like, wow, that run did nothing for me. Like, to get rid of, like, the drink and the KFC or whatever.
No, that's quality, though, stuff like that. I've been on...
But I was just so like, I've got to get back
I can
in
relate
now,
to that, mate. Like, literally, after them... When I tell you about them European Championships in 2013 where I was obsessed,
Yeah.
I went to Zante with my mates that, like, 2 weeks after. I didn't drink a thing, yeah, and I got up and trained. I found that there's like this Gold's gym on the strip, yeah. I get up every morning and
You went to Zante and didn't drink.
Went to Zante and didn't drink.
You need a round of applause because the peer pressure must have been outrageous.
They were out there a week, but because I was in the Europeans, I only went out there 5 days, met them out there, and like I was what 17, 18, like I said, and I was obsessed, mate. I was a freak. Brilliant. I was a freak. Like now, I couldn't imagine myself doing that, but when I say I was obsessed to a bad level, and that's the one thing I would change. If I could go back now, I'd be smashed in.
I've seen that. Do you know what really helped me? One of my old teammates, I've seen that happen to him, and I think sometimes that happens, like you were saying, when you have a really quick rise to the top, so really fast without being able to take it in. So he was an older guy as well, so I think he was like 23, 24 at the time, and he went from not being on the GB team. Like, he was in the squad, but he was, like, probably in the third team. So and he went from there, he started training with me and my coach, and he jumped to the best guy in the country, and he was, like, 8th in the world.
Couldn't take it in.
In 6 months, in the space of 6 months. And he was literally amazing. And everyone was like, how the fuck's he done this? But I think it happened so quick. Once he got there, he's probably dreamt of this his whole life, being the top guy and going to the World Championships and competing with the best guys in the world. He just was like, shit, I can't lose this. I don't want to lose this. I've waited my whole life for it. So then it was like, I need to make sure I know what I'm eating.
He changed what he does.
My rehab's got to be on, like, perfect. And it got to the point where, like, he was training at, like, 8:30 in the morning. Our training session started at 9:30. He was there at 8:30 already. Like,
too much.
Yeah, way too much. And, like, I would share rooms with him. He'd take, like, the scales with him and stuff to weigh food and that. And, like, that really... You know, it was tough to see at the time and that, and I look back now and I think, wow, I wish I was older at that point to help him and step in.
Do you know if anyone did? Yeah. How did it go for him?
I don't know. So he finished his gymnastics career almost like, I don't know if he was forced, and then he went into coaching. He's a brilliant coach. Yeah. He's a really, really good coach. I think he's almost taken a step away from the sport now. Yeah. So we used to be really close. I hadn't spoken to him for a while, but yeah, I think he'll get back into the sport because he's got a brilliant mind for gymnastics. Yeah, he really understands the sport and he's great with kids and that. But yeah, like I saw that and that's
almost
like
a
really
illness,
helped me though.
Honestly,
that's really helped me, man. I've seen it a few times.
Yeah, like my even the lads when I moved in Sheffield and I'd be there. A few things I did was good. Like I'd bring my own stuff from home, you know, to have like nutrition wise. I'd take all my vitamins and stuff. And a lot of people took advice, but sometimes. Like, they used to call me, like, water boy. I would carry one of these round, all day, and I would drink so much water. Like, I was shredded, but I looked good, but it was probably affecting my performance. Like, I was getting up and pissing, like, 3 times. Like, I was water loading, like, when I didn't need to and stuff, you know? And, I knew a little bit of science, but not all the science, like, not enough
It's a dangerous thing, right?
It's dangerous.
Someone tells you one thing and you trust them a little bit, then you just take it as gospel and then that's it. You get fixated on it.
Yeah, and there is sometimes now, like, I'll get a little bit ill or whatever, and I'll be like, no, I need to, and then I'll have to take that step back and be like, no, you need to rest.
Have you got anyone that can step in and do that for you? Because that's been my biggest issue over training. I've got someone that steps in now and says, look, you need to take a break, take a few days, take it easy. Yeah,
my uncle, like, there's times where I'm that shattered through training, like I just get so emotional, mate, and he'll just like, just have a few days off. Like he goes, you and one of the most important things, it's better to be underdone than overdone.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather go into a fight now not fit enough than overdone, because there's no coming back from that. If you've got heart and, you know, mental strength, you can push through being unfit. You know what I mean? Whereas if you're not and you're overdone, like your body just collapses. Whereas if you're not fit, you can push through it. Your heart will bring you through. You know what I mean?
That's really interesting, isn't that, man?
It's I feel like that's really important. That's what I'd tell anyone who like has that problem with overtraining and stuff. Honestly.
Yeah, I think I would have really benefited from someone stepping in and like when I was younger doing that. But it's hard because
I would have done that.
Everyone's going through their own thing. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's. It's hard to say. Oh, you should have stepped in and had a chat with me, like older guys, because everyone's dealing with shit. So they're dealing with their own stuff, man. Like
so for them to really think about what you've done.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's a hard thing.
And some people can train every day and feel great. Yeah. Like everyone's different.
You have to understand it's hard.
You have to understand your body and.
Do you ever think about like later life now? Because I get this asked all the time, and everyone jokes about every gymnast is like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in a wheelchair by the time I'm like when I retire," and like I do suffer with stuff like back and that. Could you ever think? And obviously with boxing, like, have you been knocked out?
Never been knocked out.
Never been knocked out.
Never been put down.
Is that rare?
Not rare, because a lot of people.
Because the weight you fight at.
Yeah, and I think plus like. A lot of people say that about weight, but at the end of the day, the person you step in the ring with is the same size as you, and you're like, so it's all relative. You know what I mean? So yeah, the big guys hit harder, but they're big. You know what I mean? Like the small guys are jumping in with, they're small, but they're getting hit by a smaller guy, but they're still small. I think for me, like, I have a lot of like hand problems. Like I can see myself when I get older, like arthritis is definitely going to be a problem and stuff. But
you ever tried that CBD oil?
You know what?
It's fine now.
It's fine.
To take, right?
And I'm gonna start, because last week I told my missus. Yeah.
Let me know, mate, because my granddad's got really bad arthritis. And I was like, one of my old teammates has started up his own CBD oil company. I was like, I really want to try it. And I listened to like loads of podcasts and stuff. And all the American fighters and that, seems to me like they're ahead of the game.
All I'm hearing is good stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any bad stuff. Everything's been good. So you know what? I'm definitely gonna give it a go. That is one of my. Last week I was in White Rose in Leeds, the shopping centre, and there's even like the pop up stalls now. Like it's obviously it's taking off. I stopped by and took a leaflet, went through a few of the things, and like. It can only be good things, even in terms of recovery.
Just marginal gains.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
little things.
It all adds up, doesn't it? And it could be that difference.
Like if that's good, it will stop me. I look like a right muppet, because sometimes if I've got like something that I need to get down quick, I have like Voltarol gel, but then I wrap it in cling film. So I go to sleep with like cling film all over me. Because what it does is suffocates the skin and opens your pores up so it gets in deeper. Some guy in Germany told me it, and it does work a treat. So
what's that, to cut?
So no. So just for like, say I've like got a bruised wrist or something, or my ankle's playing up, I'll rub Voltarol gel in it and wrap it really tight in cling film, and it suffocates your skin so it opens up and it goes in deeper.
Marginal gains, mate. That's what it is. And
about later life stuff, like that's mad that you've never been like even knocked out, because I've been knocked out in gym, like, and I actually do think about it all the time, because there's not much research into like the effects of. When I was younger, you could still do these skills called rollouts, where basically on the floor you'd like divers do, you'd dive out and roll, and the best way to do it, to cushion the landing, was to hit the back of your head. But that's the
worst.
Part, but that's how you'd land, like, and the floors were hard, mate.
Yeah.
And like, there's been plenty of times when I've been concussed.
Yeah.
Like now I'm getting older, I started to think, I'm like, what is that gonna like have an effect later on in life? There's loads of these old like Soviet.
It does scare me, but
there's loads of these. Yeah, of course, but there's loads of these old Russian gymnasts that are now like they're dying really young. They've got dementia and Alzheimer's and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, shit, is that? But those skills have been banned now.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons they were banned for juniors first. It was because I was doing it at the Junior Europeans when I was like this big, the littlest kid in the world, and I fractured my wrist doing it.
Yeah.
And they were like, dangerous. Kids ain't doing that anymore, because I looked about 10 and I was like 15, like similar to you.
Yeah.
And so that got banned from juniors, and then it was banned from seniors shortly after, so you can't do it now.
Yeah.
But, just stuff like that I think about a little bit.
So what sort of things do you think about in terms of life afterwards, and if it involves in that?
Well, like, I know my ankle's never going to be the same, you know. I can't walk upstairs properly.
Yeah.
I just don't have that range in my ankle, so it just doesn't go there. It's not got that range. So I know I'm going to suffer with that for sure, like, especially when I'm older. Things start to slow down, but I don't know. these are the things you think about when you get older.
Yeah.
You get towards the end of your career, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, we're different. Like, your career is going to go on a lot longer, but I can't physically... I'm not going to be able to be an all-around gymnast till I'm 35. It's just not... It doesn't
no,
work
like, I
that,
think the thing is with both our sports, like, it could all end tomorrow. So I've got ideas now, like you say, and I obviously want to stay involved in boxing and pass on my my knowledge and stuff, but I sometimes think about like having my own gyms and stuff and being doing like private coaching lessons and even having my own fighters and stuff, but even management, promotion. I mean, I've learnt a lot from my dad. My dad being a manager, a trainer and a promoter.
Yeah.
I've seen how he's dealt with it all growing up, and
that's good that you're already thinking about that, mate.
And I'm hoping one day I can, take over his role.
Yeah, and
you've
you've got that love to do that.
Yeah, I've got that love to do it, and through boxing, I've met a lot of people. I've got a lot of good connects through sport in general. Thanks to the scholarship scheme, and I think I always think about like the day I could, even if it was the next couple of years, having my own gym. And it is inspiring. I know it'll be a lot of hard work. So at this time in my career, it's not the right thing to do, but hopefully one day it will be. And
I'm sure it will, man. I'm sure it will. Right, we're gonna do a little quick round question.
Yep.
I'm gonna pick your brain. So what's been your favourite album of this year so far?
Favourite album?
Yeah, because you got to listen to a lot of music in the gym, right? And then obviously your walkout song's a big thing.
Yeah, recently, Meek Mill Championships, I felt a lot of very related to boxing and sport. Yeah. And some of the things he says, about loyalty and being real, I feel... I stand by a lot of that stuff, and
it's a banging
it is motivation. It's
good album,
some absolute.
It's coming right at the end of the year and just slipped in there because I always do like my best albums of the year, and there's been a few recently. Tory Lanez's album. Sick. I really like Lil Wayne's album. His new album.
See, I want that into that.
Oh mate, like listen to it a good few times. Second half is much better. Half's much better.
That might be why I might have started and thought that.
So but that's good, man. That's a good shout. What's your go-to cheat food after a fight? Do you know what I mean? When you've been like eating super clean and then the thing you want to go for, what is that?
Usually it's like Chinese, but
okay.
Honestly, I'm a foodie. Like food is massive to me. Like that's why it's to me in terms of like my sacrifice in terms of boxing and food. That's why that's how it shows how much it means to me. Like I am a foodie.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
I'm bad.
It's hard.
I'm bad.
I choose not to have stuff in the house so that temptation is just not there. Because if it's there, I'll be tough.
That's a shout, mate.
Especially on Sunday if I've got a day off and there's not a lot to do. Like I have to make myself busy so I don't eat.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself on Instagram just going through food places?
Mate, I follow all of them. I don't know why I do it to myself. They're all like pizza places and burger places. It's a nightmare. Who was like your favourite athlete, idol kind of thing growing up? Like, did you have like a favourite boxer like when you were younger?
Yeah, it was Roy Jones Jr. In his prime. He went on too long, but probably because of his love for the game. Yeah. But in his prime, like unbelievable. He was probably around at the wrong time because there was no great fighters, at the same time where he could have had these, mega fights and stuff. Yeah. But loved watching him, and he used to motivate me before I just put a little highlight reel on before one of my fights as a kid and go and try and mimic it. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's awesome, man. This is a good one. If you could fight one round of your career again so far, amateur, professional, just one round.
Ooh.
Like I'm pretty much, I take everything, I learn a lesson from it, but someone's always got one thing. Normally it's like a race again. If you could do one race again, Richard asked and Matt, NILE was like, you could do one routine again. So if you could fight one round, and it doesn't have to be like because it went wrong. NILE was like, I think NILE said, I'd want to experience that high bar routine where I won my medal because I'd want just that feeling again one more time. Do you know what I mean?
If I could fight one more round, I'm not sure because I was gonna say my first loss for England at 12 years old against Ireland. That one I was talking about, I lost by a point, and the 1 point that he scored was like the last 10 seconds of the last round. But
hearing you talk about that earlier, I would be like, no, you don't want to change that.
I don't want to change it. Like I don't want to change that because that made me who I am, and it still inspired me to go on. I could have gone on and won and then just packed in. So I'm really not sure, honestly. Probably.
What's the best feeling you've had in a fight after a fight?
The best feeling I've had?
Like the best, when you were like, oh my God, this it was just
a boxing in Kazakhstan. In just like it was just a normal duel match, but I had like a proper war with this lad in his hometown, and the Kazakh crowd was buzzing.
Yeah.
And I won that, and that was a really good feeling, because I remember being, when they had our hands at the, when they raised your hand, the referee, I remember being that tired, like I was leant over and I was like touching one of my knees, and
he was holding you
and
up.
when he lifted my hand, like I was just buzzing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd probably go back to that moment in terms of when you were saying about what round could you, but I was that shattered. I don't know if I
want to box
so,
it again. You want to box it again.
Yeah, exactly.
If you could wipe your memory of one film, so like your favourite film, you could just keep watching it. So you watch it, then you wipe your memory selectively, just for that film.
Okay.
So it's like watching it for the first time. You could do that for forever. What film would it be?
Goodfellas. I love Goodfellas, but because I know it that well now, like it does ruin it a little bit. So
yeah, you could just like recite the whole of the film.
100% Goodfellas.
Who do you think's had the biggest impact on your career?
My dad.
Yeah.
Like without my dad, I don't know what I'd do. I'm thankful to have him, but like what he's done for me is just unbelievable. He'll always go out his way for me and whatnot, and if it weren't for him, I wouldn't know anything about boxing. I don't know what I'd be. So yeah, definitely.
Mums and dads, man.
Mums and dads.
Without
yes.
them, taxi driver. My mum was my taxi driver.
Yeah.
My dad would wake me up at 6 in the morning and take me to the gym. Honestly, without them guys, like, you're just not gonna get there, are you?
I know.
It's tough, mate. It's a lot of money. It's expensive as well.
It is so important. But hopefully one day
you can pay him off, mate.
We can pay him off one day, hopefully. Okay. So that is the inspiration.
Yeah. If you could have a 5-minute pep talk at any point in your life so far, so you go back in time, and being you that you are now, you go and have a little talk and you have a chat with yourself. Could have been a point that you were really struggling.
Yeah.
When would you choose to go and do that? To give yourself a pep talk, at a moment where you felt like it would really have a big impact on where you were.
That time when I was competing for the the qualification thing, if I could have a pep talk with myself back then about what I need to do and how I need to stand up, because I literally thought like I felt like I was the only option, you know what I mean? So
it almost be like, just don't take any chances.
Yeah, don't take any chances sort of thing.
Fight,
but it would also be like,
anyone.
Don't trust anyone, and you know what? You can trust people and stuff, but in terms of sport, like it is ruthless, and you talk about people saying you need to be ruthless, and it's a business,
it is, man. Yeah.
And maybe
it's
even
hard
go
to
back
accept
to
that. I think because you love the game, and I love the game, so sometimes it's hard to accept that it is business and people aren't emotionally involved like you are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like it. I feel like it's nice to be nice, but you can be too nice, and people will take advantage of. They'll mistake kindness for weakness, and I think that's so important, because people do that all the time, and there's a lot of snakes. There's a lot of loyal people.
Like when a normal person would think, like, this lad is such a nice guy. He's well spoken. He's intelligent. Like no one would see that. Everyone thinks.
No, I appreciate that.
You make that stereotype. You got to be that aggressive guy to go in there. But I think it's an advantage for you for sure. Man, that you're that calm guy that doesn't. I appreciate that, bro. I think that's definitely. I'd want to be like that if I was a fighter. I feel like I'd be a bit more of a hothead. Yeah,
well, the best guy I fought as a youth in the amateurs, he looked like a baby. When I say I'm babyface, but this guy looked like a baby, and he was from Ukraine. I was like, have you seen him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Came out and he beat me. He beat me fair, like, and I was like, Jesus, he was tough, tough as nails, and. People do mistake kindness for weakness all the time, but you've got to always understand, there's a lot of good people out there. It's just knowing who is. There's a lot of real people, a lot of fake people. It's knowing who is your. I think it's important to keep your circle tight. I know you've got to branch out in terms of business and whatnot, and have friends, but knowing who are those true, real, people that you love.
Who do you want in the trench next to you?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you could take a few people in with you.
Yeah, they're the guys. And if you're like, no, I don't think. I think that guy's gonna run.
Yeah. If you've got any doubt, then you're right. You know what I mean?
100%, mate. And then I think lastly. 12 months. The next 12 months, if we sat down in 12 months' time, how would you want that to play out in terms of like boxing and what's next? Because you're getting to that 12 months time. You're going to be, how many more fights do you reckon you're going to take before you take that big step up? What have you got in your mind? Because I know your dad and your uncle will have their plan.
They got plans.
Yeah, what's for you, like have you got in your head?
I want to start slowly stepping up now, but I also I'll probably do another 6-rounder or another couple of 6-rounders. I want to be moving towards the end of next year. I want to be doing 8 and 10 rounds. I could even possibly be boxing for like a title next year, whether it's a central area or an English or something. But I want to be knocking on doors early, like this time next year.
Yeah. Going into 2020.
I want to be thinking about titles going into 2020. 2020, I want to be thinking about titles. So
getting on the undercard.
Yeah, I want to be knocking on the door now, and hopefully,
so exciting.
I'll still have the you know what I mean? Like, it is exciting, but you've just got to be on your game. Like, I mean, I've noticed even in my last fight, I had people sending me, you know, stuff on Instagram about wanting to fight me and stuff, and everyone wants what you've got, you know. At the minute, I'm lucky to have I've got good sponsors, I've got a good supporting team behind me, like I'm doing well, but there's someone who's out there, he's on the road running and he's thinking about me, so I need to always remember that, and I need to them people motivate me, so they can only do me a favour by messaging me telling me they want to fight, because that is what's gonna get me out of bed in the morning. You know, you can get too comfortable, but you know, we're too experienced for that, you know what I'm saying?
Mate. And you are brilliant on social media. I follow you on social media.
Oh, thank you, bro.
Like,
so are you.
Really good at what you're doing, man.
Thank you, bro.
Just keep it up. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure, man.
Thanks for coming on. It's been class, honestly. It's been good.